Welcome back to the goofiest story ever told, the Sovereign Citizen Movement Part 2, Christian Identity. Hello everybody and everybody else. My name is ScrypKat, and this is ScrypKat Says. Let's go back. Let's go way back. It's the 8th century BC, and we're in what is now northern Israel. The 10 lost tribes of Israel are about to be deported to Assyria wholesale. So, once they got to Assyria, what happened to them? Did they stay together? Did they continue their religious practices? What happened to their leaders? I have questions! According to Miles and Catherine Weiss of the House of Peace, link in the description, there are no lost tribes of Israel. Yes, many were deported to Assyria and assimilated into that society as a matter of survival. Many, though, actually returned to southern Israel and the land of Judah and Benjamin. According to the Weisses, there is significant biblical proof for this. To list just 3. 2 Chronicles 10, verse 16 and 17. So all Israel departed to their tents, but Rehoboam reigned over the children of Israel who dwelt in the cities of Judah. Multiple citations in 2 Chronicles mention tribes from the northern kingdom. Ezra 6:16 and 21 speak specifically of the children of Israel who had returned from captivity. In Luke chapter 2, verse 36, the prophetess Anna is listed as coming from the tribe of Asher, one of the most northern and least populated tribes of Israel. In other words, we have a clear statement in the New Testament that people who were considered Jews in the time of Jesus included people from the northern 10 tribes of Israel, and that they had genealogical documentation as to which tribe they were from. So I guess that's that. But wait, there's more! Pshaw, says Bertrand Comparet. His sermons can be found right here on the YouTube. The 10 lost tribes were indeed taken to Assyria, but from there they migrated northwestward until they occupied and populated what we now know as Northern Europe: Germany, parts of Belgium and France, Denmark, Finland, Sweden, Norway, northern Italy, Switzerland, and parts of northern Spain. All areas occupied by whites, particularly white Anglo-Saxons. So what? So anyone of Northern European descent who is white is, in fact, a descendant of the 10 lost tribes of Israel, and are the true Israelites spoken of in the Bible. Where did all that malarkey come from? It grew out of an ultra-monarchist movement called British-Israelism or Anglo-Israelism. It was used to explain why Britain was the strongest, furthest-flung empire in the world at the time. God was on their side, after all. According to AIDEN COTTRELL-BOYCE, in the Critical Dictionary of Apocalyptic and Millenarian Movements 2021, link in the description, quote, British Israelists are defined by their belief that the lost tribes of Israel are identical with the white Protestant peoples of Northern Europe. This belief is informed by several different strands of thought and incorporates elements of Protestant apocalypticism, British nationalism, New Age belief, and racial pseudoscience. In the 19th and 20th centuries in Britain and abroad, hundreds of different British Israelist movements were founded. At its peak in the first half of the 20th century, the largest British Israelist organization, the British Israel World Federation, claimed to have hundreds of thousands of members in the United Kingdom alone. The doctrines of the British Israelism during this period appealed to members of the aristocracy, the political class, the military, and even the royal family. The movement held property in Trafalgar Square and Buckingham Gate. In the later 20th century, British Israelism grew in popularity within the Loyalist community in Ulster. Up to the present day, the British Israelist movement in the United Kingdom perseveres, albeit with dwindling numbers. In the United States, British Israelism became a central plank of the Christian identity tradition. Within the American context, British Israelism is usually associated with more virulent expressions of anti-Semitism. Many Christian identity churches, like the Shepherd's Chapel, Pastors Arnold and Dennis Murray, the Worldwide Church of God, Herbert W. Armstrong and his son Garner Ted Armstrong, and the Church of Jesus Christ Christian, Wesley Swift, along with many Christian identity terrorist organizations like the Phineas Brotherhood, the Order, and the Aryan Nations, espouse some form of British Israelist belief. British Israelism is essentially an apocalyptic movement. The foundational claims of British Israelism center around interpretations of biblical prophecy regarding the eschatological restoration of Israel. As such, British Israelists interpret British history as well as American, Russian, European, and Commonwealth histories through an eschatological lens." Unquote. What's an eschatological lens, you ask? More on that later. For now, we must understand that all, yes, I'm going out on a limb here and saying all, anti-government groups are underpinned by the beliefs of the Christian identity theology. Think of it like this. When you bake a cake, you must first grease and flour a cake pan. When the cake is finished baking, it can easily be removed from the pan because you did not fail this first step. Once the cake is baked, the grease and flour are nowhere to be seen, but without them, you wouldn't have a cake. That grease and flour is the Christian identity theology. It's there, even if you don't see it, and it's indispensable to the final product, be it tax protesters, sovereign citizens, or white supremacists. In its simplest form, Christian identity is an anti-Semitic racist belief system. The anti-Semitic portion comes from the teachings of Russell K. Carter, Wesley Swift, and C.A.L. Totten. These teachings were consolidated in a book entitled Two Seeds of Genesis 3:15 by Dan Gayman. Now, I have a copy that states the author is Charles Mange, but I digress. In this theory, the sin of Eve was not the acceptance of the apple from the serpent, but having intercourse with the serpent, which served to mix Adam's seed with the seed of the serpent, thereby conceiving Cain. Now remember, before God cursed the serpent to travel on his belly and eat the dust of the earth, we have absolutely no idea what kind of creature the serpent was. So, imaginations have run rampant. Cain, this theory states, is the product of Satan, the serpent, and Eve. Cain kills his brother Abel, the product of Adam and Eve, and is cursed by God to never till the earth, wander all his days, and carry a certain mark which would identify him and his progeny forever. Cain marries women who are identified as being from a pre-Adamite lineage, and thus carrying on and amplifying the curse. Who these pre-Adamite people were will be explained in a moment. In any case, the descendants of Cain are labeled as any and all evildoers on the earth today. Enter Wesley Swift again, who tells us exactly who the descendants of Cain are. The Jews, of course. Jews live in cities, do not till the soil, are marked with big noses, and are forever being uprooted from where they live to wander the earth, starting trouble wherever they go. His words, not mine. They are the merchants and the bankers who plague the good Christian descendants of Seth, Adam and Eve's third son, and Shem, Noah's third son. The racist aspect of the Christian identity theology is a little murkier. Now, I want you to suspend disbelief here and hold on to your hats. This is going to get deep. In 1946, Wesley A. Swift, which we've met twice before, a top lieutenant of Gerald L. K. Smith, a fervent anti-Semite associated with Huey Long and originator of the Silver Shirts, based on Hitler's brown shirts, established the Church of Jesus Christ Christian. Sounds odd, doesn't it? He was announcing that Jesus was never a Jew, but a Christian. Anyway, he preached a rewritten form of Genesis chapter 1, which goes something like this. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. A lot of us learned that in Sunday school at some point. According to Swift, God created his first creation out of substances round about, quote unquote, i.e. mud and debris. These folks prospered and built cities. Lucifer and his warriors, quote, dark and curly-headed or black and kinky-haired, unquote, fled to earth in their great spaceships during the war in heaven against Michael the Archangel. I'm getting Scientology vibes, are you? Lucifer and his, quote, axemen and swordsmen, unquote, seduced God's first creation, and in violation of divine law, they started to mutate species and mix races. This Luciferian upheaval resulted in, quote, the catastrophe that wiped out, unquote, nearly all of God's first creation during the era of the void. God then created man and woman, but these were not Adam and Eve. They too succumbed to Lucifer. God then saw that there was no one to tend the Garden of Eden, quote, only nomads and old races, unquote. These were the pre-Adamite races, quote, black Jews, brown Jews, red Jews, yellow Jews, unquote. God then created Adam and Eve. God told Adam that the tree of the knowledge of good and evil was a racial tree, and if he cohabited with the old races, he would die. Well, nobody told Eve, and she had intercourse with Lucifer the serpent and gave birth to Cain, the first, quote, unquote, white Jew. Phew, I don't know about you, but I think I need a drink. Seems a lot went on between the second verse of Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, and the third verse. So, where did Swift get this idea? He got it from a man named William M. Branham, who, in the 1930s, preached a form of the two-seed theory of Genesis 3:15. The two seeds, as you will recall, were the seed of Adam and the seed of the serpent, Satan. Cain was the spawn of Satan. He killed Abel and was cursed, as we saw a few minutes ago. The satanic seed proceeds through Noah's son Ham and his son Canaan. The Adamic seed proceeds through his son Seth, Noah's son Shem, and forward to Jesus Christ. So, first we have the quirky British-Israelism of the late 19th century, which is infected with this two-seed theory by the first half of the 20th, and bam! Christian identity is born. Okay, so the eschatological lens we talked about earlier, well, that's sort of anticlimactic, as all anti-Semites know that Armageddon will be the last battle between the white races and all the other races, especially the Jews, and Whitey will end up being king of the hill. Roll end credits. If you have a headache now, I apologize. The point of this very deep dive into Christian identity theology is that anti-government groups of any stripe need to look into the background of whoever they're listening to and understand where all the rhetoric is coming from. We humans tend to judge one another by the company we keep, and keeping company with Christian identity leads to a very dark and dangerous place. Well, it appears I didn't say a word about William Potter Gale, did I? We'll get to him next time, I promise. Remember, ScrypKat says, don't believe everything you read on the internet. Bye for now. Thanks as always to my marvelous members. Your support gives me the hope to keep on going. Thank you so much.